Oops, I messed up again.
We are all human, and no matter how hard we try, mistakes are an inevitable part of our life. Mistakes can also be an effective learning tool, and how we handle them can make or break our relationships. In today's episode, we're going to discuss best practices for handling mistakes in both your business and personal life. If you enjoy the Miss Biz podcast, but still have questions or need advice, we have some exciting news for you. Join us for Miss Biz Connects. Miss Biz Connects is a weekly 1-hour Zoom call on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
This is 1 hour each week dedicated to you. We want to meet you and put our brains together to help you grow personally, professionally, and spiritually.
To access the meeting link, visit us on our social media pages at Miss Biz Podcast or send us an email to missbizpod@gmail.com.
Join us this Friday and let's grow the Miss Biz Nation.
Hey, lady bosses, are you working even after putting the kids to bed but still not getting results?
Are you tired of spending money on ads that aren't getting engagement?
Do you feel burdened that you aren't fulfilling your purpose in life because you are so consumed with work?
I'm your host, Brooke Bolts. I'm an attorney and founder of Bolts Legal. I started my business and in 1 year was bringing in 7 figures and am now bringing in multi-7 figures.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Bolts, owner of Bolts Media. I've helped many businesses build their online presence and increase their revenue through digital marketing.
Want to hear how we did it?
We are here to help you achieve your goals personally, professionally, and spiritually.
So kick off your high heels, sit back, and let's ignite that passion.
We're Miss Biz, where we're putting the Miss in biz.
Let's get biz done.
Today's episode was suggested by one of our listeners, and that listener requested that we speak about not only how to handle mistakes, but also how to deal with that fear of making a mistake. So today we're going to kind of discuss some of those key points from what has worked for us in our professional lives.
Fear of failure is something that cripples many people, in that we aren't able to get started or to achieve our greatest destiny and purpose because we're so afraid of what might happen if we do and the mistakes that we may make. So we have to get our mindset right. And to do that, some of the things that I've done personally is to ask myself, what's the worst thing that could happen? And a lot of times, it's simply the customer gets upset and maybe they don't work with me again because I made a mistake. But ultimately, that was part of the learning process, and how I handle that mistake in addressing it, taking responsibility for it and apologizing for it can oftentimes still salvage the relationship and keep moving forward. But worst case scenario is I lost a client or I lost a customer. And even if that happens, it's still worth the experience of trying and failing to learn from that and keep moving forward.
Fear is something that is completely natural. You know, it's the uncertain knowledge of what's actually going to happen. But the most important thing to kind of consider is like Brooke had mentioned, what is the worst that could happen, but also realizing that if I don't try this new experience, then what are the consequences by me not even trying? So I think that it's important to note that fear is natural, and it's going to be more prevalent in certain personality types. Like if you're a very type A personality type, or maybe you have certain insecurities, like especially if this is something new that you're doing for the first time. But fear is something that is perfectly normal, and you have to kind of wonder, you have to think about what you can do to make this effective. So perhaps if you know somebody where you can find help, or if you have any resources that you can rely on to gain some information, or practice, whatever it is, that is really going to help serve you best. Practice makes perfect. Anytime we do something for the first time, it's going to be a little rough because it's something that's new. It's a new venture, and that's perfectly normal. But we have to get over that fear, and we have to figure out what is the best way that can make me comfortable with doing this. And practicing it or shadowing somebody is a really good way to kind of get your feet wet and to gain the confidence that you need to get past that fear.
I know for myself as an attorney, anytime I've thought about taking on a new area of practice, I have always sought out a friend or colleague who practices in that area and asked them if I could shadow them on some cases or co-counsel with them on some cases until I had a confidence that I could do it myself. And I've been surprised at how willing people have been to help me and say, yes, absolutely, not only come alongside me as co-counsel, but oftentimes share documents and templates and things that really are super helpful. Of course, there's going to be some people who might be unwilling to help, and that's okay too. You just keep looking, finding other people who have done what you want to do and who are willing to, come alongside you and even just be someone you can ask questions to is going to be super helpful in gaining that confidence you need to take the next step.
September 30th is International Podcast Day. As a way to celebrate, we are launching a giveaway where one lucky winner will receive a $500 gift card. To play, you must listen for the super secret keyword found in every episode leading up to September 30th. Send your answer to missbizpod@gmail.com and you will be entered to win.
You can also earn more entries by liking our posts, following our pages on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, or by sharing our content on your page using the hashtag MissBizPodcast. Each like and follow is one additional entry. The person with the most entries wins. Let's celebrate International Podcast Day and let's get biz done.
And the keyword of the day is
Mom hack.
And another thing that has helped me significantly to get over any fear and kind of find that right path is to pray about it. Come before the Father and ask for his guidance, ask for wisdom, knowledge, and discernment, and keep praying. Don't give up, keep praying, give it to God, and he will guide you. He will guide you down the right path. He will open all the right doors for you to make it happen. And if it's something that he doesn't want you to do, it'll be really hard to go through that path. But if it's something that is God's will, he will lead you. He will guide you. He will put all the right people in your circle to help you do your very best. And, whenever I pray and I cast my cares to the Lord, I immediately feel better. I really do. But, there might be some of that lingering anxiety of trying something new. Just give it to God. Just give it to God. Let him handle it. And he will give you that peace that passes all understanding.
Sometimes your prayer may just be, God, give me the courage to do what I need to do. Be with me as I take these next steps. And, that comes to our next pointer, which is just do it. Sometimes it's not always going to be comfortable. You can do all the things to prepare yourself and try to be as ready as you can. But like you said, the first time you do it is not going to be your best time. It's probably going to be your worst time. So, but if you don't have that first time, you will never have that learning experience to move on from. So just doing it is sometimes the most important thing to do, and it's sometimes the most scary thing to do. But in praying, you can just ask God, hey, please be with me. I know I have to do this thing. I'm very afraid to, but I'm going to do it. And I trust and believe and know that you're with me as I do it, because I believe it's the right step, and I believe it's what you're leading me to do. So I have to overcome my fear and step forward. There's a ton of stories in the Bible where people were afraid of doing what God had called them to do. I mean, Jonah ran away and got on a ship and to try to avoid his calling. And of course, we know the story, got thrown into the sea and swallowed by a whale. So he was petrified, but he learned through that experience that he just had to move forward despite his fear and do it anyways. And because God was in it and God was calling him to it, he was blessed.
Trying new things is how we grow. If we let fear control us, then we're just going to be at the same level. But in order to get to that next level, you're going to have to, have the courage. And sometimes even just telling yourself, like, I got this, can make a huge difference in your confidence. So many times we beat ourselves up because we're like, I can't do this. We're our own worst enemy. But by speaking life and truth to yourself, you can really motivate yourself to not only get over that fear, but also to not make that mistakes because you were scared. So that is something that can really help you, is just, being friendly to yourself, encouraging yourself, and surrounding yourself with people that are going to encourage you as well.
Get a pump-up song is what we call it. My daughters play basketball, and when we're driving to their basketball games, we play their pump-up song to get them motivated. And whenever I'm driving to a big hearing, I play my pump-up song in the car. I rehearse my arguments in the car over and over so that I can just feel more confident in what I'm going to be saying. And when I get in front of the judge, it comes out it flows much better because it's not my first time saying it. I've done it in the car a bunch of times on my drive.
So we talked about before handling the fear of mistakes. So now we're going to kind of dig into what to do after a mistake has happened. And this could be for either your personal life or also your professional life. A lot of times we make mistakes in our personal life, and that could not handling them correctly can actually affect your business as well, because your mindset is thinking about that mistake. So it's really important not just to focus on being a superstar business owner, but also to focus on any sort of situation in your personal life where you've made a mistake and how to resolve that so it doesn't bleed over into all this other various aspects of your life. And one of the most important things, I think, is to recognize that mistakes are part of the learning process. And accepting this reality that mistakes are going to happen is going to help your mindset to approach mistakes with a proactive and constructive mindset. When life has you stressed, Miss Biz has your back. Mom hack.
If you have the hiccups, take a cap full of lemon juice. Lila, you have the hiccups. Here. My hiccups, they're gone. Told ya.
I was at a workshop for business growth recently, and the CEO of a major multi-million dollar company was speaking, and actually it was the COO who was speaking, and she was saying how the CEO, the owner, had gone on an extended leave for a while and left her in charge. And when he left, he told her, "You are allowed one $100,000 mistake while I'm away." And I just was so fascinated by that, because who goes away and tells their employees, "You're allowed to mess up while I'm gone"? I mean, I probably do the opposite, like telling everyone, "You're allowed one $10 mistake while I'm away." Because you never want people to make mistakes. But I really learned from that as a leader, giving your employees permission to make a mistake from time to time, especially when you know that they are self-motivated people who never want to make a mistake, who are petrified of making a mistake, that if you give them the permission to be human and to make a mistake from time to time, it can release them and free them from that fear and make them more capable of doing a better job, because they're not so bound up by their fear of failure. And in the end, she did not make $100,000 mistake. I don't know if she made any mistakes at all. I think everything went very smoothly. But just him releasing that fear in her before he left, I thought was a really valuable tool for leaders to learn from in dealing with our staff.
I think that would definitely take a lot of the pressure off. And I think sometimes when we do make mistakes, it's because we're under a lot of pressure. We're usually under time constraints. We have a bunch of different things going on at one time. So like Brooke had said, by releasing them from, essentially liability for making the mistake, it can release some of that anxiety and help prevent any mistakes from being made. And I think even as business owners, it's okay to give yourself permission to make mistakes, because I think too, we're a lot more flexible with our employees than we are with ourselves, because we have these grandiose expectations of how, our level of quality and our level of professionalism. And so a lot of times we put more pressure on ourselves than we do our employees, because our expectations are higher of ourselves. So I think it's really important too to give yourself that freedom to be able to, if a mistake happens, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. We're going to deal with it.
Right. So in responding to mistakes, it's also important to take responsibility for the mistake that you've made. I can't tell you how much this can be a game changer in the perception of the person impacted by your mistake. For me, I try very hard to not defend the mistake, not to make excuses for the mistake, but to just say, and even if it's a mistake that wasn't done by me personally, but done by someone who is under my supervision, I still take responsibility for it. I ultimately it comes back on me. I am the owner of the business, and so if there is a mistake, it's my responsibility regardless of whether I personally did it or someone else did it. And so I always try to be quick to acknowledge the mistake and say, I am sorry. It is my responsibility, and we let you down in this respect, but we want to make it right. And here's how we're going to do that. So we go straight from acknowledging it to now trying to find a way to fix it to the extent it can be fixed. And many mistakes can be fixed. A lot of times you can do things to minimize the effect of the mistake or eliminate it altogether. And so much of the time, if you just have the right attitude and take responsibility, the people who are impacted by it will have grace and forgiveness and understand that mistakes are part of life. And especially if you've been really doing your best in every at every opportunity, the fact that you make a mistake one time is going to be something that they forgive and forget and move on from.
I think, too, in addition to accountability, really kind of like empathizing with the person and using those level 5 listening skills to make them feel like they like you understand what they're saying, to really truly understand what they're saying. Because if you just say, oh, my bad, we'll do better next time, that's not really validating what they're saying. So in addition to taking accountability, saying something like, this is not the level of professionalism that we adhere to at our company. We apologize immensely for any sort of inconvenience that this may have caused you. And then too, sometimes even leaving it open, not just saying like, we can do this to make it right. Like, what would you like us to do to make it right? Because even if that means giving someone a product for free, that is well worth it, especially if they're a good customer. Going and giving them a product for free that costs you X amount of money is actually going to cost you less in the long run by keeping that relationship alive. So I think that is something also that should be incorporated as a business owner if you have that capability to give them something or leave it open to see what the best practice would be to resolve it. We're all about that case, no trouble. All about that case, no trouble. All about that case, no trouble. All about that case.
At Bolts Legal, we are all about your case. Text or call to schedule a free consultation for all your legal needs. boltslegal.com. Also, of course, when a mistake is made, we want to take steps to avoid making the same mistake again. So you want to talk with the staff, involve them in the discussion on how can we avoid this in the future. Sometimes it's adding in a new calendaring system. Okay, we're going to keep track of these deadlines from now on so that we don't miss that again. Or, just coming up with a system or practice to avoid that mistake in the future. So, just assessing why it was made and how do we avoid it and coming up with a policy or practice to avoid it in the future, I think turns the mistake really into an opportunity to improve. Absolutely.
And if it's a mistake that a member of your team made, you can involve the team in the solution finding process. A lot of times they can come up with ideas that you may not have even thought of, especially if they're the ones that are making the mistake. It's going to encourage open dialogue, and you can actively develop those strategies to ensure that these mistakes never happen again.
Having that mindset of mistakes are opportunities is huge, both before a mistake is made and after a mistake is made. If you can truly believe that statement, mistake is an opportunity, then that can eliminate your fear, because you know at that point, if I make a mistake, it's going to be an opportunity for growth. So it's not something to be afraid of, but something that is an opportunity to improve your business.
Absolutely. It can help you to make your processes that much more effective. You may even find that by implementing this new CRM or this new strategy or whatever it is that you're doing as a result of the mistake that was made, it actually makes things more smoother. And then also monitoring them to make sure that they're still working, that, you're not having any mistakes still happen, and then touching base with your client as well, after the mistake has been made, following up with them and saying, I just wanted to check in. Is everything still going well? To really let them know that you're sincerely sorry, and it shows that you care about that relationship more than just a transaction or, a dollar sign. It shows that you care about their overall experience and the value that they find with your brand.
Also, when I've made a mistake before, it can eat at me, and I can dwell on it for days at a time, where the thought of the mistake, I keep reliving it over and over in my mind all throughout the day and all throughout the night, and it's just tormenting. So I've learned to, and I'm not perfect at this, I think once you've done all these steps, once you have put into place procedures so that you don't make the mistake again, you've taken responsibility for it, at some point you have to now release it to God. You cannot keep beating yourself up over a mistake you made. It's not causing any benefit at that point. And when the Bible says to take captive every thought, it's not just talking about sinful thoughts. It's any thought that is taking you away from that's hindering you in his calling and purpose for your life. So the way I do that is when that negative thought comes in, I just say, I release this to you, God. And then 10 minutes later, when it comes back again, I say it again. I release this to you, God. I push the thought away. I try not to let myself think about it. And I just continuously push it and push it and push it. And also remember that in the Bible, the people who God called to some of the most amazing destinies were people who had made huge mistakes, and not just unintentional, oversights either. Look at David. David is, made a huge mistake in, committing adultery with Bathsheba and then having her husband killed. That I would venture to say none of us have done anything on that level. And if God could still use and refer to David as a man after his own heart and someone who is just a pillar of the Bible, then how much more can he forgive and move past our unintentional errors that we make from day to day? We are our own worst critics sometimes, and we have to get to a place where we take responsibility, we acknowledge what we've done, but once it's done and once we've done those things, we have to let them go.
Yes, it's so important to forgive yourself, because the person can forgive us, God can forgive us, but we're still upset with ourselves. And we have to, like Brooke said, just release it and just tell yourself, I forgive me, and if you need additional support and help, seek professional advice or guidance, meet with one of the elders at your church, ask the pastor to pray for you, ask your friends and your family to give you advice or guidance, or, to offer you that support that you need.
And if that doesn't work, dance it out. Turn on some music.
Yes.
There was a time when I was a probation officer and I lost a piece of equipment, an expensive piece of equipment. And I was just tormented by, I cannot find this. It was a home monitoring, like when people are put on house arrest, the little anklet thing that you put around them. Those things are expensive, and I had it in my work car and it just disappeared. And I was so afraid I was going to have to pay all this money to reimburse for the piece of equipment, and it was just driving me insane that I couldn't find this thing. And one day I just went and turned on loud, like, worship music and just danced it out. Like, I just danced my heart out. and I felt a release in doing that. And I felt so much better. And maybe a couple weeks later, they found the equipment. It was in my work car that I had turned in for service, and they gave me a new car, and I forgot that the equipment was in the trunk of the old car. So we found it, and everything worked out. But in that interim period, I was just so hard on myself, and it was just really tormenting my thoughts every day. So dance it out is my number one tip. If you take anything away from this today, when all else fails, turn on the music and shut the blinds and just dance it out.
And remember, mistakes do not define the business or its owners. So by focusing on the actions taken to rectify the situation and the commitment to ongoing improvement, you can really turn something that was once observed as being unfavorable and turn it into something that can take your business to the next level. We appreciate you and are honored to be on this journey with you. We can't wait to help you, to encourage you, and show you how to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually.
If you found Miss Biz helpful, please leave a review and share with others.
You can follow us on social media at Miss Biz Podcast.
For legal questions or services, please visit boltslegal.com.
And for digital marketing needs, please visit boltsmedia.com. Let's get biz done.